Mr Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, I actually want to agree with one of the things that Simon Bridges just said, which is that the privatisation of assets is a tired old debate. And in fact, it is a tired old debate, but it's a tired old debate that simply will not die, because the National Party and the ACT Party fundamentally still believe in the privatisation of state assets and would do so were it not for the fact that the New Zealand public prevent them from doing it. Now, Mr Speaker, history is repeating itself here, because it was the sale of local government assets. It was the sale of local government assets that split the last national government away from its New Zealand First coalition partner. It split New Zealand First down the middle. And Tohinari and half of his colleagues in New Zealand First walked away from their leader because they wanted to support the sale of the Wellington International Airport, and they thought that protecting their ministerial seats was more important than sticking up for the principles they were elected on. New Zealand First campaigned in 1996 on opposing the sale of state assets, and yet when National decided to sell the Wellington International Airport, Tohinari and his mates left the national government. They left New Zealand First to prop up Jenny Shipley.
Point of order.
Bus debate. One member's got the call. The constant screaming, and it is screaming, at the top of his voice from Mr Henare and Mr Quinn. I suggest to you, sir, you might want to bring some bit of order.
Yeah, I'm going to uphold that point of order. I was actually calling order, and I understand there's a bit of passion around this, but and I think the member on his feet, though, has actually been a little bit more political than probably was necessary. So just a little bit of caution on either side, and let's get on with the debate.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I'm just getting started. Mr Speaker, the sale of the Wellington International Airport split the New Zealand First Party in half. It split it in half. Well, maybe the numbers might not be quite right, but certainly Tohinari and his mates split away from New Zealand First so that they could prop up Jenny Shipley and help her sell the Wellington International Airport. And the local government reorganisation in Auckland is splitting this government, this national government as well, as in the reorganisation of local government in Auckland, splitting National and ACT and the Māori Party. And I have to say I support the Māori Party's position on this. I do support the Māori Party's position on this, as does the Labour Party. Mr Speaker, I want to know who the senior member was in the National Party that sent around the memorandum to all of the caucus colleagues about the fact that this issue was far too reaching and too important for a party presently sitting at 1% in the polls to decide alone. A party sitting at 1% in the polls to decide alone, and yet the agenda here, the entire local government agenda of this national government, is in fact being driven by Rodney Hyde and Roger Douglas and the ACT Party, a party who at its core believes in the state of state assets, and they would love to get their hands on the local government assets in Auckland and sell them off, because they're quite crafty. They know that the National Party went around the country and promised not to sell state-owned enterprises and state assets at the last election. And in their first term, mind you, there was a qualifier in their first term. So ACT knew that they weren't going to get their hands on those assets this term. So what would they focus on this term? They would focus on the assets under the control of local government. Focus on the assets that are controlled by local government. And that is one of the things, Mr Speaker, that is splitting this coalition of ACT, National and the Māori Party apart. According to the memorandum sent around, clearly they are at a crossroads, it says. The ACT Party has threatened to end its relationship with National if we allow Māori seats on the Super City. Despite multiple arguments in support, its mind cannot be changed. But that's actually not unusual for the ACT Party, because they don't really tend to listen to other people's arguments. Once they've made their mind up, they know best. they know what's good for New Zealanders, and they're just going to give it to them. It's the Roger Douglas never waste a good crisis theory. They want to sell state assets, and that's why they're going to vote en bloc, the National Party and the ACT Party, against this bill that would ensure that Aucklanders get a say in the sale of any assets owned by local government in Auckland. And I only have one objection to this bill, Mr Speaker, in conclusion, and that is that it doesn't apply to the assets of all local government around the country, because I don't want them to get their hands on Wellington's assets either.